AEW, since the Death Rider storyline took over most of their main programming, to some have been in a crazy slump. They've been the same AEW in terms of wrestling and in-ring product, but storytelling wise, AEW's main event world title scene isn't looking good. From Moxley having somewhat of a boring reign, to Adam Copeland, Cope, returning and seamlessly setting up a Cope vs Mox matchup, which I'll admit sounds fire on paper, but that's not what the AEW fanbase want. We want to see Swerve, Ospreay, MJF, and especially Kenny Omega in the title scene. Instead, we've been getting the same backstage vignettes, beatdowns, and, if I'm being honest, filler. AEW announced Maximum Carnage in Jon Moxley's hometown, so the show was bound to be stacked, which it was. MVP wrestling for the first time in years, Ricochet, Kenny the Goat wrestling, Casino Gauntlet, and Mox defending the world title against Hobbs. Let's not waste time and let's get straight into it. This venue is a first time for AEW and for wrestling in general, and bro, this arena looked amazing on TV. It's kind of similar to Hammerstein as it's a theater, but this looks way more bare bones and smaller. More venues like this, TK, please. No more 15K seaters unless it's pay-per-view. We start off with Kenny vs Brian Cage, and was it just me or did the pyro also catch anyone off guard? Like, I could have swore there was no pyro on Dynamite. Kenny's music hit, and then we see for sure one of AEW's best entrances ever. The behind camera shot, the full crowd, pyro. I can't be the only one who was marking out while watching this. The match too was great, and I still can't believe this dude Kenny is back wrestling and doing moves like this. Man was just knocking on death's door. I'll admit, Kenny did look a bit rusty here, and he was slow here and there, but if we're being honest, Kenny being rusty still clears anyone you could think of. Kenny got the win after a one-winged angel, then afterwards got attacked by the Don Callis family, until Ospreay saved him. Then they got attacked again. Let me just put my booking cap on. Am I tripping, or does the perfect plan seem to be Kenny and Ospreay teaming up, maybe even getting a 4 to 5 month tag title reign, Ospreay easing Kenny's load, pause, while Kenny gets right and Ricochet losing rust? Then you have Kenny vs Okada in July, 2-3 months later. Tony Khan, if you're watching, please do what I just said. Ricochet, after joining AEW, has low-key gotten clowned for everything he's done. So when he did the complete opposite of what everyone expected and started leading into being a geek, I was pretty entertained. He got clowned by Swerve pretty bad, then next week grabbed a pair of scissors and went crazy. He comes down to cut a promo, then gets attacked by Nana, then almost Swerve, setting up their match 3 weeks from now. And this should be a banger. We hurt people. Man, that song is fire. Recently on Dynamite, MVP announced or said something along the lines that Bobby and Shelton will be challenging for the tag title soon. And not gonna lie, after the Lashley vs Swerve match at Full Gear, I fully expected those two to carry on their feud, especially after Lashley won clean. And it kind of makes you think what happened behind the scenes for them to just pivot like this. MVP would wrestle his first match in years, and when they first said that caught me off guard. These six had a pretty average trios match. That's how the tag champs get pinned. Nothing memorable really besides MVP returning and hitting the ballin' elbow. Jeff Jarrett a few weeks ago cut a promo revealing this upcoming 2025 was going to be his last year wrestling, so his goal was to win the AEW World title. Basically trying to embark on a Bryan Danielson, Kobe Bryant-esque farewell tour, but if I'm being honest, this is more like a Paul Pierce run. He came out again on Dynamite, but immediately got interrupted by MJF. MJF would proceed to say some crazy ass things, if I'm being honest, like calling Karen a MILF, bringing up Kurt Angle, bringing up Owen Hart, and a few other things. And Jarrett, on the other hand, this man looked like a fish out of water. He tried his best trying to cut MJF-like promo, but when I say this wasn't good, this wasn't good. And to end the segment, MJF grabbed Karen, then ran away. Super mid and a pretty long segment. Hook versus Christian Cage. And just by off these names, you guys know this match was a waste of time. Hook in year 5 has barely improved and is someone who screams NXT and Performance Center. After a 10-minute match, we see a DQ, Taz then stands up, and right here, I low-key thought he was going to go in the ring. Soon after Taz stands up, Samoa Joe's music hit, and this was such a vibe. Joe was out partaking in Season 2 Twisted Metal and getting casted into one of the Yakuza games. Joe would come down, beat everyone up, saving Hook and reuniting with Hook and Shibata. I'm just glad to see Joe back. Joe as world champion last year was one of the brightest spots of AEW. The women's division since All In hasn't been booked good at all. Whether it's the Women's World Champion not having a match on pay-per-view, not having solid feuds, or just feeling like filler in general, it's noticeably been bad. The Women's Casino, first ever by the way, was pretty solid though. It wasn't as action-packed like the one we saw at Wembley, but this one was solid. And we finally saw Megan Bayne debut, who has been rumored signed by AEW for literally forever at this point. I know she's a GCW mainstay, but why didn't she debut earlier? She looked amazing in the ring and carried herself like an absolute star. And if you ask me, TK should have debuted her alongside Mercedes like he did Camille. Speaking of Camille, she really got dropped like a fly. Toni Storm, to the surprise of no one, went after a roll-up, making her versus Mariah May for the world title in Australia official. Solid match that progressed a decent amount of storylines. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the Death Rider storyline has been mid as hell, and it's pretty much been running backwards since All Out. When Hobbs was made out to be the #1 contender, in my opinion, they pulled it off pretty good. He won the Casino Gauntlet, then confronted Mox afterwards, and looked like a beast in every way. Their match, although short, was vibes. I don't know how, but Mox's ear was bleeding crazy. Kinda looked like his earring got pulled off or something. One thing I want to see moving forward is a Hobbs push. Even if it's him just destroying people and having a solid run with the ROH title, he deserves some shine. And hold on, why isn't ROH's vision under Tony Khan basically a mini AEW, where people like Hobbs are given the chance to shine, or have rivalries and segments treated like their own? ROH not being AEW's version of NXT's Black and Gold is a serious misstep. Mox eventually got the win, and after we see Death Riders take out Hobbs' knee, till Rated FCR came out to save and to end the show. There's a 12-man tag set for Collision involving everyone here and Hobbs, so I don't really know where this is heading. Does Hobbs get replaced? Would it be a 6-on-5? I guess we have to tune into Collision. Overall, great episode of Dynamite, with the only hiccup being the MJF and Jarrett segment. Just way too long and wasn't needed. Let me know how y'all liked Maximum Carnage.